Hi, my name's Shelley and this is my testimony. So I guess you could say I grew up in a Christian home. Actual fact, Mum and Dad were Seventh-day Adventists and always remember going to Sabbath school. That was a big part of my life as a kid. At some point, I guess Mum and Dad decided that wasn't the right church for us anymore, and we kind of just floated around a little bit. In actual fact, we travelled around Australia in a caravan, my sisters and I, and Mum and Dad, and we just sort of settled in anywhere, and we'd go to school and we'd go to a church, and that was life for a little while for us. And yeah, so that was basically my childhood for the first 10 years, I guess. On and off. I think when I was about 8 or 9 we had settled in Caloundra, which is in Queensland, and we were there for a few years, and Mum had sent us to a Christian school there, and I remember going off to camp and coming back and declaring myself a Christian. I had said the prayer, and there you have it. So that was, I guess, pretty exciting. And yeah, so from there we stayed there for a little while. We went to a few different churches, some of them good, some of them not so good. I would say because of my unconventional childhood and because of all the different types of churches that we'd been to, and just the instability that I had as a kid, my mum was the most stable influence to me growing up with my faith and my Christianity. So yeah. So she would be the one that would always sort of like bring us back to God and pray with us, and always ensure that our focus was on Him, I guess. Yeah, so I've got a lot to be grateful for there, but it probably wasn't until my teenage years where I actually had found a youth group and a church that I felt secure in and stable at, and I sort of started regularly going to, and I guess I did that. That's where I did most of my growing. I'd met Tony at this stage. He wasn't a Christian at the time, but he came along to church with me, and he became a Christian, and we were engaged, and we got married, and next minute we had 3 kids, and life moved pretty fast. So I guess you could say my focus turned from God and onto my family. I put all my efforts into being a wife and a mum, and church just became something that we just did every now and then. It wasn't really a priority. I guess I felt as though I was good. I felt as though my life was sorted. I'd ticked all these boxes, I'd done the right things, and I kind of probably felt like I didn't really need to go to church every Sunday. God was still a huge part, God was still in my life, but He definitely wasn't the centre of my life. And I guess that's a really dangerous place to be, because you become complacent when that happens. Like you just, you just think you're okay, and you're really not, and you don't realise it until way later, which is what happened to me. So yeah, kids grew up, became teenagers. My sister, who's got kids the same age as me, we kind of went, let's find a youth group for the kids, and so we googled churches, we found a church, we found a youth group. The kids were happy to go along to it. I guess they were kind of happy there as well. And I started going along to the church every week. I was really happy there. I actually didn't realise it at the time, and I thought I was doing the right thing for my kids, and I thought I was doing it for my kids, but it turns out it was actually me that needed to be seeking God again. And so that was a bit of a revelation for me, which was really good. I got baptised for the first time. Always wanted to get baptised, but as a teenager, when I thought about it, I had to give my testimony, which I did not want to do, and decided I didn't want to get baptised. It's too much at stake. So yeah, finally got baptised, which was great, and my 3 kids too got baptised at this church, and you know, we were happy. I was happy there. My kids were coming along to church with me, my husband was coming along to church with me. Yeah, I thought I'd had it sorted. again, and I thought, yay, you know, I'm back. This is great. But little did I know that in thinking who I knew God was, He really wasn't that person at all. Like, I'd created this image of who I thought He should be. I guess during my time as an adult and as a mum, when I wasn't really going to church, I had decided who I wanted Him to be to fit with my lifestyle. So I had sort of like, He wasn't the king of my life. I didn't acknowledge His sovereignty, and I certainly didn't place my trust and control in Him. So I guess I created Him into an image of a person that I wanted Him to be to fit, you know, the things that were easy for me. The things I didn't like about Him I kind of ignored, and the things I did like I would really get excited about and share with people. So it wasn't until this church that we were at, look, I was, the more I got to know God and the longer I was at this church, the more I realised it wasn't the right church for me. You know, some things weren't really making sense to me, and so it was at that point I didn't want to just leave another church and find a different church. I wanted to know why I wanted to leave that church, what it was that wasn't quite right for me, and I wanted to really discover for myself who God was. I wanted to really know what it was that I believed, why I believed it. I wanted to be able to tell somebody if they asked me, you know, what I believed. So, and I wanted to be really strong in that conviction. I felt like there were I wasn't solid enough. Like, there were too many different people who'd give me advice or ideas or different ways of doing things, and I would like sort of like sway in the wind both ways. And you know, like I said, I just really wanted to get to a point where I knew who God was, and that's unwavering. And so I feel like being a part of Gospel Life, which I joined from the beginning with Joel and Luke, and which I'm very, very grateful for. I feel like through that process and learning the way I'm learning in the way that I'm going through the Bible, and the way I'm reading the Bible from a position of who God is, rather than what I can get out of it, and all of those sorts of things. I really feel like I understand, or I'm getting to understand who he is. The good and the bad, even the stuff I think, like, wow, that was a bit tough. But the more I read, the more I understand, and the more I can see that everything He's done is out of love. Like, at one point I would have thought that was mean, but now I just know it's because He loved us. And so that's where my journey is at this point, just really discovering who God is and where I fit into that plan, because I didn't realise until this last couple of years that, or a year and a half, that it has nothing to do with me. Like, it's not, I didn't make any of this happen. I didn't decide any of this. Like, it's all God, and the whole reason I'm here is for God, for His glory, to glorify Him. And like, that is just, I just love that. Like, it just makes me, it just makes me feel worthwhile.